The morning sun painted the jungle of Cairo 7 in shades of gold and green. Dr. Hannah. Kim wiped sweat from her forehead as she checked her equipment one more time. The humidity on this planet was always terrible, but today felt worse than usual. Her research suit stuck to her skin like a second layer. Another day studying the big cats, she said to herself, looking toward the dense forest ahead. Hannah had been on Cairo 7 for 8 months now. She came here to study the shadow cats, the large panther-like creatures that ruled this world. These were not ordinary animals. They were smart, maybe even smarter than humans. They had their own language, their own culture, and most interesting of all, they could speak to each other without making any sound. The human research team had tried many times to talk with the shadow cats. They used computers, sound devices, even tried to copy their body movements. Nothing worked. The panthers would look at them with their bright yellow eyes, then simply walk away. "Hannah, are you ready?" called Do-Yeon Park from behind her. He was her research partner and had been studying alien life forms for 15 years. If anyone understood dangerous creatures, it was him. "Almost," she replied, adjusting her camera. "I want to get some good footage of their hunting behavior today." Do-Yeon walked over to her, his face serious. "Be careful out there. The Nightclaw pack has been more active lately. Yesterday they killed a steel-horned buffalo just 2 kilometers from here." Hannah nodded. The Nightclaw pack was the largest group of shadow cats in this area. There were 12 adults and 3 cubs in the pack. Each adult panther was almost 3 meters long and could weigh as much as a small vehicle. Their claws could cut through metal, and their teeth could crush bones like twigs. "I know the risks," Hannah said, "but this is why we came here, to understand them." The 2 scientists walked into the jungle together. The sounds of the forest surrounded them. Strange birds called from the trees above. Small creatures moved through the thick grass below. And somewhere in the distance, they could hear the sound of running water. "The Crimson River is high today," Do-Yeon said, listening to the water. "The rains last week must have been heavy upstream." Hannah checked her map. "Good. The panthers like to hunt near the river when the water is fast. Maybe we will see something interesting." They walked for 2 hours, following old panther tracks through the jungle. The tracks were large, showing that adult shadow cats had passed this way recently. Hannah took pictures of everything. The way the panthers stepped, the distance between their paws, even the small scratches they left on tree bark. "Look at this," she said, pointing to a tree. "See how they mark their territory? These scratches are too high for any other animal to make." Do-Yeon examined the marks, and they are fresh. Maybe only a few hours old. As they got closer to the river, the jungle became thicker. Huge trees blocked out most of the sunlight. Strange flowers with bright colors grew everywhere. Some of them moved when the wind blew, looking almost like small animals. Then they heard it. A sound that made both humans freeze. It was a cry. High and scared. Not the deep roar of an adult panther, but something much smaller. "That sounds like a cub," Hannah whispered. "We should go back," Do-Yeon said quickly. "If there is a cub, the adults are nearby. They will not be happy to see us." But Hannah was already moving toward the sound. "It sounds like it is in trouble." They pushed through the thick plants and came to the edge of the Crimson River. The water was moving fast, much faster than normal. It crashed over rocks and made a noise like thunder. The river was usually red because of the iron in the rocks, but today it looked almost black. "There," Hannah pointed across the rushing water. On the other side of the river, caught on a fallen tree, was a small shadowcat cub. It was black with silver spots, probably only a few months old. The cub was crying out in fear as the fast water tried to pull it downstream. "Oh no," Do-Yeon said. "It must have fallen in upstream and gotten caught." The cub was barely holding on. Its small claws were slipping on the wet wood. Each time the water hit it, the cub cried out again. "We have to help it," Hannah said, dropping her backpack. "Are you crazy?" Do-Yeon grabbed her arm. "That water is full of razorfish. One bite from them and you are dead. And even if you avoid them, the current will smash you against the rocks." Hannah looked at the cub again. It was getting weaker. Soon it would not be able to hold on anymore. I cannot just watch it die, she said. The adult panthers will come, Do-yun argued. They can save it better than we can. Look around, Hana said. Do you see any adult panthers? That cub has been crying for 10 minutes. If they were coming, they would be here already. She was right. The jungle was quiet except for the sound of the water and the cub's cries. Hana, please think about this, Do-yun said. Even if you save the cub, what then? The parents will think you hurt it. They might attack you. But Hana was already taking off her heavy research equipment. She kept only her emergency beacon and a small knife. Call the base, she told Do-yun. Tell them what is happening. If something goes wrong, they need to know. Hana, do not do this. She looked at him with determination in her eyes. That is someone's baby out there. I do not care what species it is. Before Do-yun could stop her, Hana jumped into the rushing water. The cold hit her like a punch. The current was stronger than she expected. It pulled her downstream immediately. She fought against it, trying to swim toward the trapped cub. The water was dark and full of debris. Pieces of wood and rocks flew past her. She could see shadows moving in the water below. The razorfish were there, waiting. Hana! Do-yun shouted from the shore, but his voice was lost in the noise of the river. She fought against the current with all her strength. Her muscles burned, but she kept swimming. The cub was getting closer. She could see its yellow eyes, wide with fear. I am coming, she called out. Though she knew the cub could not understand her words, the water tried to push her past the fallen tree, but Hana grabbed onto a branch. Her shoulder hit the wood hard, sending pain through her body. But she held on. The cub was right there, just 2 meters away. It had stopped crying and was looking at her with curiosity. Maybe it did not understand what she was doing, but it seemed to sense that she was trying to help. Easy, little one, Hana said softly. I am here to help you. She reached out slowly, trying not to scare the cub. But as she moved, her grip on the branch slipped. The current pulled her away from the tree. No! She screamed, fighting to get back to the cub. That was when she saw them. Yellow eyes watching from the jungle on both sides of the river. The adult shadow cats had arrived, but instead of helping, they just watched. 12 pairs of eyes, all focused on the humans struggling in their river to save their young. Hana fought against the rushing water with everything she had. Her lungs burned as she tried to breathe between the waves that crashed over her head. The current was like a living thing, trying to pull her downstream toward the sharp rocks. The adult shadow cats stood on both sides of the river, watching her struggle. Their yellow eyes followed her every movement. Some of them were huge, bigger than any panther she had ever seen. Their black fur seemed to absorb the sunlight, making them look like living shadows. Why are they not helping? She thought as another wave pushed her under the water. When she came back up, gasping for air, she could see the cub still clinging to the fallen tree. The little panther was crying again, its small voice almost lost in the noise of the river. The wood it was holding was starting to break apart. Hana realized she had only minutes before the tree would be completely destroyed by the water. After that, the cub would be swept away to certain death. She activated her emergency beacon with shaking fingers. The small device would send a signal to the research base, letting them know she was in trouble. But the base was 20 kilometers away. Even if they came immediately, they would not arrive in time. Do-yun, she called out to her colleague on the shore. Get Jinwoo on the radio. Tell him to bring the hoverboat. Do-yun was already speaking into his communication device, his face pale with worry. Jinwoo, emergency at the Crimson River. Hana is in the water. Bring everything you have. The response came back immediately. On my way. Hold on. But Hana knew Jinwoo Lee, their equipment specialist, was back at the base. Even with the fastest hoverboat, it would take him at least 30 minutes to reach them. The cub did not have 30 minutes. She looked at the adult panthers again. They were still watching, but now she noticed something different. Some of them were making soft sounds, almost like they were talking to each other. She had studied their behavior for months, but she had never seen them act like this before. They are communicating, she realized. They are talking about what to do. One of the largest panthers, probably the pack leader, stepped closer to the water. It was a massive female with scars across her face from old battles. The panther looked directly at Hannah, and for a moment their eyes met. In that moment, Hannah felt something strange. It was like a voice in her head, but not words. It was more like feelings and pictures. She saw the cub as the panthers saw it, not just as a young animal, but as a precious member of their family. The message was clear. The panthers could not save the cub themselves. The water was too dangerous for them too. But they understood what Hannah was trying to do. "I will not let your baby die," Hannah said out loud. Even though she knew they could not understand her words, she pushed off from a rock and started swimming toward the cub again. This time, she did not fight the current directly. Instead, she let it carry her downstream while she angled toward the fallen tree. The razorfish were everywhere now. She could see their silver bodies moving in the dark water below her. One of them came close to her leg, its teeth flashing in the dim light. She kicked at it and felt her boot connect with its hard body. "Stay away from me," she shouted, though she knew the fish did not care about her words. Finally, she reached the fallen tree. The cub was right there, so close she could almost touch it, but the tree was moving now, breaking apart as the water pushed against it. "Come here, little one," Hannah said softly, reaching out her hand. The cub looked at her with wide, frightened eyes. It had never seen a human this close before. All its life, it had been taught that humans were dangerous creatures to avoid, but something in Hannah's voice, something in the way she moved, told the cub that she was not there to hurt it. Slowly, carefully, the small panther reached out with one paw. Their hands touched for just a moment. The cub's fur was soft and warm, even though it was soaked with cold river water. Hannah felt a strange connection, like she was touching a part of herself. Then the tree shifted violently. A large piece of wood broke away and was swept downstream. The cub lost its grip and fell into the water. "No!" Hannah screamed. Without thinking, she let go of the tree and dove after the cub. The current immediately grabbed both of them and pulled them toward the rocks downstream. Hannah wrapped her arms around the small panther, holding it tight against her chest. She could feel its heart beating fast against her body. The cub was shivering from cold and fear, but it was alive. "I have got you," she whispered. "I will not let you go." But the rocks were coming fast. Sharp edges of stone stuck up from the water like teeth. If they hit those rocks at this speed, both of them would be killed instantly. Hannah looked around desperately for something to grab onto. There was a large boulder ahead, but it was covered with razorfish. They were waiting for her and the cub to come to them. She made a decision that would change everything. Instead of trying to avoid the rocks, Hannah turned her body so that her back would hit them first. She would use herself as a shield to protect the cub. The impact was terrible. Her spine hit the sharp stone with a crack that she felt through her whole body. Pain shot through her like lightning. She tasted blood in her mouth, but she held on to the cub. Even as her body was broken against the rocks, she kept the small panther safe in her arms. The adult panthers on the shore were making sounds now, loud cries that echoed across the water. They had seen what happened. They understood what the human had done. More rocks came. Hannah's shoulder hit one, then her leg hit another. Each impact sent new waves of pain through her body. She could feel her strength leaving her, but still she held the cub. Finally, the current pushed them toward the shore. Hannah's feet touched the bottom of the river. She stumbled forward, carrying the cub, until she collapsed on the muddy bank. The cub was safe in her arms, breathing and unhurt, but Hannah could not move. Her body was broken in too many places. "Star Whisper," she whispered, giving the cub a name. "Your name is Star Whisper." The adult panthers surrounded them now. The pack leader, the scarred female, came close and looked down at Hannah. There was something different in her eyes now. Something that had not been there before. Respect. "Take care of your baby," Hannah said, her voice getting weaker. "She is beautiful." In the distance, she could hear the sound of the hoverboat approaching. Jinwoo was coming? But she knew it was too late for her. The last thing she saw was the pack leader gently picking up the cub with her teeth, carrying Star Whisper to safety. The last thing she heard was the sound of panthers singing, a deep, sad song that seemed to come from their hearts. Hana Kim closed her eyes and smiled. She had saved the cub. That was enough. Jinwoo Lee arrived at the riverbank just as the sun was setting. His hoverboat touched down on the muddy shore with a soft hiss. He jumped out and ran toward the group of people gathered around something on the ground. "How is she?" he asked. Even though he could see the answer in their faces, Do-yeon Park looked up from where he was kneeling. His eyes were red from crying. "She is gone, Jinwoo. She died about 10 minutes ago." Jinwoo fell to his knees beside Hannah's body. She looked peaceful, like she was sleeping. But her research suit was torn and bloody. Her arms were still curved, like she had been holding something precious. "The cub?" Jinwoo asked quietly. "Safe," Do-yeon said. "She saved it." The panthers took it back to their pack. Jinwoo looked around the riverbank. The adult shadow cats were still there, but they had moved back into the jungle. Only their yellow eyes were visible in the growing darkness. They were watching the humans, but not in the way they usually did. Before, their stares had been cold and hostile. Now there was something different. "They have been there for hours," said Minho Choi, the team leader who had arrived with Jinwoo. "Just watching. They have not moved or made any sounds." Minho was a tall man with gray hair who had been studying alien species for 20 years. He had seen many strange things in his career, but nothing like this. "We need to go," Minho said. Sadly, it will be dark soon and this is their territory. The team carefully lifted Hannah's body and carried her to the hoverboat. As they moved, the panthers in the jungle moved too, following them but keeping their distance. "They are escorting us," Do-yeon said with surprise. "Like they are showing respect." "That is impossible," Minho replied. "They are just animals?" But even as he said it, Minho was not sure he believed his own words. The way the panthers were acting was unlike anything in his research files. Back at the research base, the team gathered in the main building. It was a small structure made of metal and glass, designed to be temporary. They had planned to stay on Cairo 7 for only one more month before returning to Earth. "We should leave immediately," Minho said to the group. "Hannah's death changes everything. The panthers might see us as a threat now." But she saved one of their cubs," argued Borishin, the team's communications specialist. "Surely they understand." That she was trying to help, Minho shook his head. "These are wild animals. They do not think like we do. They might believe we hurt the cub in the first place." Young Soo-han, the team's psychic researcher, had been quiet during the discussion. He was a young man who could sense the thoughts and feelings of some alien species. It was a rare ability that had made him valuable to the research team. "I do not think they see us as threats," Young-soo said finally. "Something is different about them. I can feel it." "Feel what?" Minho asked. "Sadness," Young-soo said. "They are mourning too." The team looked at him with confusion. Animals did not mourn for humans. That was something only humans did. "That is not possible," Minho said. "You must be reading your own emotions." But Young-soo was sure of what he was sensing. The panthers were not just sad about their own cub. They were sad about Hana. That night, strange things began to happen around the research base. The team heard sounds from the jungle that they had never heard before. It was like singing, but deeper and more complex than any animal sound they knew. "What is that?" Bora asked, looking out the window into the darkness. "I do not know," Minho said. "But it has been going on for hours." The singing seemed to come from all around them. It was not threatening, but it was powerful. The sound made the humans feel emotions they could not explain. Young-soo stood by the window, listening carefully. "It is a ceremony," he said. "They are performing some kind of ritual." "For what?" Do-yeon asked. "For her," Young-soo said quietly. "For Hana." The next morning, the team found something that made them all stop and stare. Outside their base, arranged in a perfect circle, were dozens of beautiful flowers. They were not earth flowers, but the bright, colorful blooms that grew in the jungle of Cairo 7. Who did this? Bora asked, though she already knew the answer. The panthers, Minho said, his voice full of wonder. But how? They do not have hands. Doyan examined the flowers closely. They were placed here carefully. Look at how they are arranged. This is not random. In the center of the flower circle was something even more surprising. It was a small stone, smooth and black, with strange markings carved into its surface. What do you think it means? Jinwoo asked. Youngsu touched the stone gently. Immediately, images flooded his mind. He saw the panthers gathering the flowers in their teeth. He saw them working together to arrange them in the circle. He saw them placing the stone in the center with great care. It is a memorial, he said, with tears in his eyes. They are honoring her sacrifice. The team stood in silence, looking at the beautiful tribute. None of them had ever seen anything like it. We were wrong about them, Minho said finally. They are not just animals. They are people. Over the next few days, more strange things happened. The panthers would come to the edge of the jungle and watch the base. They did not approach, but they did not leave either. It was like they were guarding the humans. They are protecting us, Youngsu said during one of their team meetings. I can sense it. They feel responsible for our safety now. But why? Minho asked. What changed? Hannah changed them, Youngsu replied. Her sacrifice showed them something they had never seen before. A human who would die to save one of their children. The team began to understand that they were witnessing something historic. The panthers were not just intelligent animals. They were a species with their own culture, their own values, and their own way of understanding the world. We cannot leave now, Laura said. This is too important. Hannah would want us to stay, Doyan added. She would want us to learn from this. Minho looked out the window at the jungle where the panthers were waiting. For the first time in his career, he was not sure what to do. Give me 1 more week, he said finally. Let us see what happens. In the jungle, the Nightclaw pack was having their own discussions. Moonhunter, the pack leader, was trying to understand what had happened at the river. The human had saved Star Whisper. She had given her own life to protect a panther cub she had never met before. This was something that only a true pack member would do, but humans were not pack members. They were outsiders, strangers who did not belong in the jungle, or were they? Moonhunter looked at little Star Whisper, who was playing with the other cubs. The human had called her by a name. Star Whisper. It was a beautiful name, and somehow it felt right. The pack leader made a decision that would change everything. She called the other panthers together and began to speak in their silent language of thoughts and feelings. The human saved our cub, she said. She gave her life for one of ours. This makes her family. The other panthers were confused. Humans could not be family. She is dead, said Shadowstrike, one of the elders. How can a dead human be family? Her spirit lives, Moonhunter replied, and her spirit is one of us now. This was something that had never happened before in Panther history. But then again, no human had ever sacrificed themselves for a panther cub before. The pack spent the night discussing this strange new idea. By morning, they had reached a decision that would surprise everyone. The 4th day after Hannah's death began like all the others. The research team woke up to find more flowers arranged around their base. But this time, something was different. The flowers formed a path leading toward the jungle. They want us to follow, Youngsu said, studying the colorful trail. I can feel their intention. Minho shook his head firmly. Absolutely not. We are not walking into the jungle with a pack of giant panthers. That would be suicide. But as the morning went on, more strange things happened. The panthers began to appear at the edge of the jungle, not hiding anymore. They stood in clear view, watching the human base with their bright yellow eyes. Count them, Minho told Doyan. How many are there? Doyan looked through his binoculars. I see 12 adults and 3 cubs. Wait, there are more coming. From deeper in the jungle, more panthers emerged. These were not part of the Nightclaw pack. They were different sizes and had different markings. Some were solid black, others had silver stripes, and a few were dark brown with golden spots. "Those are from other packs," Bora said with amazement. "They are gathering together?" "Panthers do not do that," Minho said. "Each pack has its own territory. They fight when they meet, but these panthers were not fighting. They were standing peacefully side by side, all looking toward the human base." "Something big is happening," Youngsu said quietly. "I have never felt psychic energy like this before." By noon, there were over 50 panthers gathered at the jungle's edge. They formed a large semicircle around the research base, but they kept their distance. They were close enough to be seen clearly, but far enough away to not seem threatening. "We need to contact Earth Command," Minho said nervously. "This situation is beyond our training." But before he could send a message, something incredible happened. The panthers began to move in perfect coordination. They walked forward slowly, still maintaining their semicircle formation, until they were only 100 meters from the base. Then they all sat down at the same time. "They are waiting for something," Doyan said. "But what?" The answer came from an unexpected source. Little Star Whisper, the cub that Hannah had saved, walked out from among the adult panthers. She was small and moved carefully, but she showed no fear as she approached the human base. "The cub is coming alone," Jinwoo said. In wonder, that should be impossible. Cubs never leave their mothers. Star Whisper stopped just 10 meters from the base entrance. She sat down like the adults and looked directly at the main building. Her yellow eyes seemed to be searching for something. "She is looking for Hannah," Youngsu said softly. "She wants to see the human who saved her." The team watched in silence. As the small panther waited, she made no sound, but her message was clear. She wanted to meet her rescuer. "Someone needs to go out there," Doyan said. "We cannot leave her waiting." "Are you insane?" Minho replied. "There are 50 adult panthers watching us. If we make one wrong move, they will attack." "No," Youngsu said firmly, "they will not attack. I can sense their emotions. They are here for a ceremony, not for war." "What kind of ceremony?" Bora asked. Youngsu closed his eyes and concentrated on the psychic energy around them. The thoughts and feelings of so many panthers created a complex pattern in his mind. It took him several minutes to understand what he was sensing. "They are adopting her," he said finally. "They are going to make Hana's spirit part of their pack." "That is impossible," Minho said. "She is dead." "Not to them," Youngsu replied. "They believe that spirits of the brave become part of the eternal pack. They want to honor her with their most sacred ritual." The team looked at each other with uncertainty. This was unlike anything they had ever encountered in their studies of alien species. "If you are wrong," Minho said to Youngsu, "we will all die." "I am not wrong," Youngsu said confidently. "They are asking us to witness something that has never happened before. A human being accepted into a panther pack." After a long discussion, the team made their decision. They would go out and meet the panthers. If this was truly a ceremony of honor, they needed to be there to represent Hannah. Slowly, carefully, the 5 humans left their base. They walked toward Little Star Whisper, who was still waiting patiently. As they approached, the adult panthers did not move. They remained sitting in their semicircle, watching quietly. When the humans reached Star Whisper, the cub stood up and walked to Youngsu. She looked up at him with her bright yellow eyes, and suddenly his mind was filled with images. He saw Hannah jumping into the river. He saw her fighting the current to reach the cub. He saw her using her own body to protect Star Whisper from the rocks. And he saw her final moments when she smiled as she watched the cub being carried to safety. "She is showing me what happened," Youngsu said with tears in his eyes. "She remembers everything." Then something even more amazing happened. The largest panther in the gathering stood up and walked forward. It was Moonhunter, the leader of the Nightclaw pack. She approached the humans slowly, showing that she meant no harm. When she reached them, Moonhunter did something that shocked everyone. She lowered her massive head and touched her nose to the ground where Hannah had been found. It was a gesture of respect, a way of honoring the dead. One by one, all the other panthers did the same. They came forward in a long line, each one touching their nose to the ground in the same spot. Cubs, adults, elders from different packs, all paying their respects to a human they had never met. "They are saying goodbye," Do-Yun whispered, but the ceremony was not over. After all the panthers had paid their respects, Moonhunter began to make a sound. It was not the roar that panthers used to communicate with each other. It was something deeper, more complex. It was like singing, but with emotions instead of words. The other panthers joined in, creating a harmony that filled the air around them. The sound was beautiful and sad at the same time. It spoke of loss and love, of sacrifice and honor. "What are they singing?" Bora asked. Young-Soo listened carefully, trying to understand the meaning behind the sounds. "They are telling her story," he said. "They are making sure that what she did will never be forgotten." The song continued for almost an hour. During that time, the humans stood quietly among the panthers, feeling honored to be part of such a sacred moment. When the singing ended, something extraordinary happened. Shadow Strike and Dawn Prowler, the two eldest panthers in the group, approached the humans. They carried something in their mouths. It was a small crystal, clear as water, but with a light that seemed to come from within. They placed it on the ground in front of Young-Soo. "What is it?" Jinwoo asked. Young-Soo picked up the crystal carefully. As soon as he touched it, he felt a warm sensation spread through his body. The crystal was not just a rock. It was something much more special. "It is a memory stone," he said with amazement. "They use these to record important events in their history. They are giving us Hannah's story to keep forever." The ceremony was complete. The panthers had done something they had never done before. They had accepted a human into their eternal pack. Hannah Kim was now part of their history, their culture, their family. As the panthers began to disperse, Moonhunter approached Young-Soo one last time. She touched his hand with her paw, and he felt a message in his mind. "Thank you," she was saying. "Thank you for bringing her to us." The humans walked back to their base in silence, carrying the memory stone with them. They knew they had witnessed something that would change the relationship between humans and panthers forever. Behind them, little Star Whisper watched them go. She would grow up knowing that a human had saved her life. And she would never forget the woman who had given everything to protect her. The adoption was complete. Hannah Kim was now part of the Panther Pack, and her story would be told for generations to come. 2 weeks had passed since the adoption ceremony. The research team had settled into a new routine of peaceful coexistence with the panthers. Every morning they would find fresh flowers arranged around their base. Every evening they would hear the soft singing from the jungle as the panthers shared stories with each other. But this morning was different. When the team woke up, they found something that made them all stop and stare. Standing at the entrance to their base was Stormclaw, a massive panther from the Nightclaw pack. He was holding little Star Whisper gently in his mouth, the way panther fathers carried their cubs. But Star Whisper was not struggling or afraid. She seemed calm and comfortable. "Why are they here?" Minho asked quietly. Young-Soo approached the two panthers carefully. As he got closer, Stormclaw gently placed Star Whisper on the ground. The cub walked forward until she was standing directly in front of Young-Soo. "She wants to communicate," Young-Soo said to the team. "But this is different from before." Star Whisper looked up at Young-Soo with her bright yellow eyes. Then she did something that no panther had ever done before. She began to project images directly into his mind, but these were not memories. They were invitations. "She wants us to follow her," Young-Soo said with excitement. "She wants to show us something." "Show us what?" Minho asked suspiciously. "I am not sure," Young-Soo replied. "But it is important, very important." The team debated for several minutes. Going deeper into the jungle with panthers was dangerous, even if they seemed friendly. But they had learned to trust Young-Soo's psychic abilities. "If we go," Minho said finally, "we all go together. No one gets separated." The 5 humans followed Stormclaw and Star Whisper into the jungle. The path was different from any they had taken before. It led away from the river, toward the mountains in the distance. As they walked, more panthers joined them. They came from different directions, appearing silently from behind trees and rocks. Soon the humans were surrounded by an escort of 20 panthers, all walking peacefully together. "They are protecting us," Laura said with wonder. "This is their way of showing us that we are safe." The journey took 3 hours. They climbed rocky slopes and crossed small streams. The panthers moved easily through the terrain, but they were patient with the humans who struggled to keep up. Finally, they reached their destination. It was a hidden valley surrounded by tall cliffs. In the center of the valley was something that made the humans gasp in amazement. It was a cave, but not an ordinary cave. The entrance was perfectly circular and seemed to glow with a soft blue light. Strange symbols were carved into the rock around the opening. "What is this place?" Jinwoo asked. Star Whisperer approached Youngsu again and touched his hand with her paw. Immediately, his mind was filled with new images. He saw panthers from long ago working together to build something incredible. He saw them using tools and technology that seemed impossible for animals to create. "This is their sacred place," Youngsu said quietly. "They call it the Cave of Ancestors. It is where they keep their most precious treasures." Stormclaw walked to the cave entrance and looked back at the humans. His message was clear. He wanted them to follow him inside. "Are you sure about this?" Minho asked Youngsu. "Yes," Youngsu replied. "They are sharing their greatest secrets with us. This is an honor that no outsider has ever received." The cave interior was even more amazing than the entrance. The walls were covered with crystals that provided light without any heat. The floor was smooth and polished, carved with intricate patterns that seemed to tell stories, but the most incredible sight was at the center of the cave. There was a large chamber filled with objects that clearly showed advanced technology. There were devices that looked like computers, weapons that seemed to be made of pure energy, and machines that the humans could not even begin to understand. "How is this possible?" Do-Yun asked in amazement. "They are supposed to be primitive animals." Stormclaw approached one of the devices and touched it with his paw. The machine activated, projecting a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy above their heads. The map showed star systems, trade routes, and what appeared to be the locations of other intelligent species. "They are not primitive at all," Youngsu said with wonder. "They are more advanced than we are." Star Whisperer walked to another device and activated it. This one showed images of the Panther's history. The humans watched in fascination as they saw the story of the Panther civilization unfold. The Panthers had once been a spacefaring race. They had explored the galaxy, made contact with other species, and built a great civilization among the stars. But thousands of years ago, they had made a choice to return to their homeworld and live simply. They gave up technology to live in harmony with nature, Youngsu translated as more images appeared. They believed that advancement without wisdom led to destruction. But they had kept some of their technology hidden in sacred places like this cave. They used it only when necessary to protect their world and their people. "Why are they showing us this?" Bora asked. The answer came from Star Whisperer herself. She approached a final device and activated it. This one showed recent events, including Hannah's sacrifice at the river. The images revealed that the Panthers had been watching the humans for months. They had seen how the research team treated their world with respect. They had observed their genuine desire to learn and understand, but it was Hannah's sacrifice that had changed everything. Her willingness to die for a Panther Cub had shown the Panthers that not all humans were the same. Some humans had the same values that the Panthers cherished, the same willingness to sacrifice for others. "They want to share their knowledge with us," Youngsu said as the meaning became clear. "They want to form an alliance." Stormclaw touched another device, and new images appeared. These showed star maps with safe travel routes, locations of valuable resources, and information about other species in the galaxy. "They are offering to be our guides," Youngsu said with excitement. "They want to help humanity explore the galaxy safely." The Panthers had learned that the galaxy was full of dangers. There were hostile species, dangerous phenomena, and worlds that could destroy unwary travelers. But they also knew where the safe havens were, where friendly species could be found, and how to avoid the greatest threats. In return, Youngsu continued as more images appeared. They want us to help them protect their world. They want humanity to be their allies and friends. The offer was incredible. The Panthers were willing to share thousands of years of knowledge and experience with humanity. They would provide star maps, technological insights, and guidance for safe exploration. But they had one condition. The alliance would be built on the same principles that Hana had shown at the river. Humans would have to prove that they could put the welfare of others before their own desires. They are testing us, Minho said quietly. They want to see if we are worthy of their trust. Star Whisper approached Youngsu one final time. She touched his hand, and he felt a warm sensation spread through his body. In his mind, he heard a voice that was both young and ancient. Your friend showed us the heart of humanity, the voice said. She proved that your species can love beyond itself. If you can learn to do the same, we will help you reach the stars. The Panthers had made their offer. Now it was up to humanity to decide whether they were ready to accept the responsibility that came with such a gift. As the team left the cave, they carried with them the memory of what they had seen. They had been offered a chance to join a galactic community, but only if they could prove themselves worthy of the trust, the future of human space. Exploration now depended on whether they could learn to be as selfless and brave as Hannah Kim had been on that day at the river. The revelation was complete. The Panthers were not just intelligent animals. They were an ancient, wise species offering to guide humanity to the stars. But first, humanity would have to prove that they deserved such a gift. 6 months had passed since the revelation in the Cave of Ancestors. The research base had grown into something much larger. What started as a small temporary station had become a permanent facility with buildings, laboratories, and living spaces. For both humans and Panthers, Sun Mikong, the new expedition leader sent from Earth, stood at the main observation deck watching the morning activities. Below her, human scientists worked alongside Panther guides, sharing knowledge and learning from each other. I still cannot believe this is real, she said to Minho, who had stayed to help with the transition. None of us could believe it at first. Minho replied, but Hana's sacrifice changed everything. It showed the Panthers that humans could be trusted. The alliance had grown stronger each day. The Panthers had shared their star maps with Earth Command, revealing safe routes to dozens of new worlds. They had also provided warnings about dangerous areas of space where hostile species lived. In return, humanity had sent their best scientists and diplomats to Cairo 7. They came not as conquerors or colonizers, but as students and friends. The Panthers had been careful to test each new arrival, making sure they shared the same values of respect and compassion. How do they test them? Sunmi asked. They watch, Minho said simply. They observe how humans treat their world, their animals, their fellow researchers. They can sense selfishness and greed. Those people are politely asked to leave. The system worked well. The humans who remained on Cairo 7 were those who truly understood the importance of the alliance. They worked hard to prove themselves worthy of the Panthers' trust. One of the most important developments was the communication breakthrough. Youngsu had worked with the Panthers to develop a translation device that could convert their telepathic thoughts into human language. Now humans and Panthers could have real conversations. Good morning, Sunmi, came a voice from behind her. She turned to see a magnificent panther approaching. It was Star Whisper, now fully grown and serving as the first official panther ambassador. The young panther had learned to speak human languages fluently, though she still preferred to communicate telepathically. Good morning, Star Whisper, Sunmi replied. How are the preparations going? Everything is ready, Star Whisper said. The memorial ceremony will begin at noon. Today was a special day. It marked the 1-year anniversary of Hannah's sacrifice. The Panthers had planned a ceremony to honor her memory and to celebrate the alliance that had grown from her brave act. The ceremony would take place at the new memorial that had been built at the site where Hannah died. It was a beautiful structure made of both human and panther materials, designed to honor both species' architectural traditions. "Are you ready for your speech?" Sunmi asked Star Whisper. "I have been thinking about what to say," Star Whisper replied. "How do you put into words what someone's sacrifice means to two entire species?" Sunmi smiled. "You speak from the heart." That is what Hannah would have wanted. As the morning progressed, beings from across the galaxy began to arrive for the ceremony. The Panthers had invited representatives from other species they had encountered in their travels. It was the first time many of these aliens had visited Kairos 7. "Look at that," Minho said, pointing to a group of crystalline beings who sparkled in the sunlight. "Those are the Prism people from the Andromeda sector. The Panthers have been friends with them for over 1,000 years. There were also the tree walkers, tall beings who looked like living wood, and the cloud dancers, creatures made of pure energy who floated through the air. Each species had come to honor the human who had changed the relationship between their kinds." "Hannah would be amazed," Sunmi said quietly. "Her act of kindness has brought together beings from across the galaxy." At noon, the ceremony began. Hundreds of humans and panthers gathered around the memorial, along with their alien guests. The memorial itself was a work of art, combining human technology with panther craftsmanship and alien materials gifted by other species. At the center of the memorial was a statue of Hannah holding little Star Whisper. The statue was made of a special crystal that glowed with inner light provided by the Prism people. Around the base were inscriptions in dozens of languages, including several that had never been written down before. Sunmi spoke first, representing humanity. Hannah Kim was a scientist, a researcher, and a friend. But most importantly, she was someone who believed that all life was precious. Her sacrifice showed us that the greatest discoveries come not from laboratories or computers, but from the heart. Then Star Whisper stepped forward to speak for the Panthers. "Hannah gave me life, but she gave my people something even more valuable. She gave us hope. Hope that different species could understand each other. Hope that the galaxy could be a place of friendship instead of fear." The ceremony continued with speakers from each alien species. Each one shared how the alliance between humans and panthers had affected their own people. The tree walkers spoke of new trade agreements. The cloud dancers described scientific discoveries made possible by sharing knowledge. The Prism people talked about joint exploration missions to distant worlds, but the most moving speech came from Moonhunter, the elderly panther who had led the Nightclaw pack when Hannah died. She was very old now, but her voice was still strong. "Many seasons ago, I watched a human jump into dangerous water to save one of our cubs. I did not understand why she would risk her life for a creature she did not know. Now I understand. She saw what we see when we look at our own young. She saw a life worth saving. She saw family." The ceremony concluded with the unveiling of a new addition to the memorial. It was a garden where plants from dozens of worlds grew together in harmony. Human flowers grew next to panther medicinal herbs, surrounded by exotic plants gifted by alien visitors. "This garden will grow and change," Star Whisper explained. "Just like the alliance that Hannah's sacrifice created. Each new species we meet will add their own plants, their own contribution to the beauty of this place." As the sun set over Kairos 7, the ceremony ended with the traditional panther song of remembrance. But this time, it was not just panthers singing. Humans hummed along, and the alien visitors contributed their own sounds. The result was a harmony unlike anything ever heard before. Later that evening, Sunmi found herself alone at the memorial with Star Whisper. The young panther ambassador was looking up at the stars, which were just beginning to appear in the darkening sky. "What are you thinking about?" Sunmi asked. "About how much the galaxy has changed," Star Whisper replied. "A year ago, most species avoided each other. Now we are working together, exploring together, learning together. And it all started with one person's kindness," Sunmi said. "Yes," Star Whisper agreed. "Hannah showed us that love is stronger than fear, that understanding is more powerful than weapons, that one act of sacrifice can change the entire galaxy. Above them, the stars shone brightly. Among those stars were new worlds being explored by joint human-panther expeditions. There were research stations where multiple species worked together to solve the mysteries of the universe. There were trade routes where goods and ideas flowed freely between civilizations. What do you think Hannah would say if she could see all of this? Sunmi asked. Star Whisper was quiet for a long moment. I think she would be happy. But I also think she would remind us that our work is not finished. There are still species who do not trust each other. There are still worlds where fear rules. Instead of love, then we keep working, Sunmi said. We keep showing others what Hannah showed the Panthers. Yes, Star Whisper agreed. We keep proving that the galaxy is big enough for all of us to share. As the night deepened, more species arrived on Cairo 7. The memorial had become a pilgrimage site for beings from across the galaxy. They came to learn about the human who had changed everything and to see the world where fear had been replaced. By friendship. The Hana Kim Memorial Research Station continued to grow. New buildings were added to accommodate visitors from distant worlds. New laboratories were built to study the gifts of knowledge that each species brought. New gardens were planted to show the beauty that came from cooperation. And at the center of it all, the statue of Hana and Star Whisper continued to glow with inner light, reminding everyone who saw it that love was the greatest force in the universe. The legacy was complete. Hana's sacrifice had not just saved one panther cub. It had saved the entire galaxy from a future of isolation and fear. Her act of compassion had shown that all beings, no matter how different they seemed, could find common ground in their love. For life, the stars above Cairo 7 were no longer lonely points of light. They were beacons of hope, guiding the way to a future where all species could live together in peace and understanding. And somewhere among those stars, the spirit of Hana Kim continued to inspire new acts of kindness, new moments of understanding, and new bridges between the countless peoples of the galaxy.